Hello, bonsoir, and welcome to the Get French Football News Show. I'm your host, Nathan Staples, and joining me, as always, are Eric Devin and Philippe Bargil. What a weekend of French football full of ups and downs, winners and losers, people making background deals, and a couple of others got the chop. It almost sounds like a popular TV show that's just returned to our screens. But before we explore this week's storylines, here is the latest news. Despite a spirited showing from Lille and the dismissal of Adrien Rabiot after a pair of bookings, Paris Saint-Germain continued their somewhat predictable march towards another domestic treble Saturday evening, winning the Coupe de Ligue final 2-1. In the league, Nice started the weekend with a 2-0 win over Reims, a result which saw the dismissal of Olivier Guégan as a result, the Champagne club having dropped into the bottom three after Sunday's results. Owing to the final being staged on a Saturday, most of the matches were moved to Sunday, but the one that was played, Lyon's visit to Toulouse, wasn't lacking for excitement, as 4 goals in the space of a dozen minutes saw the visitors draw level, take the lead, lose it, and then reclaim it in the blink of an eye, reclaiming second place in a thriller that finished 3-2 in the favour of Les Gaunes. Sunday's early match saw Marseille, fresh from a 1-0 win at Sochaux in midweek in the Cup, managed to draw 1-1 at home versus Nantes, a match blighted by a straight red from Alexis Romao and a Nicolas Nkulu own goal. The result surely far from ideal when coupled with manager Michel being placed on gardening leave prior to the Cup match. In Sunday's mini-multiplex, Gazalec Ajaccio triumphed in a entertaining Corsican derby 3-2. Although visiting Bastia made the final few minutes a little nervy, the result sees the hosts into safety as they now sit 1 point above Reims. Saint-Etienne continued to be their effective, if somewhat dull selves. A pair of late goals from informed Nolan Roux, leading to the team to a 2-0 win over Lorient, while Caen drew at Guingamp 1-0, with both teams finishing with 10 men. Elsewhere on Sunday, Montpellier surged to the dizzying heights of 11th thanks to a 4-1 win at home to Troyes, while a late equaliser from Giovanni Sio saw hosts Rennes pinch a point from Monaco, who remain level on points with Lyon, but in third place owing to their goal difference. In Ligue 2, Metz took advantage of stumbles by their fellow promotion hopefuls, their 2-0 win at Red Star seeing Les Grenats pull 3 points clear in third, while Dijon officially clinched their promotion, with Nantes able to do the same with a point against Sochaux in the evening's match. In off-pitch news, an already muddled backline picture for Les Bleus was further complicated by Mamadou Sakho's positive drugs test. A second test is scheduled for today, but with Kurt Zouma out and Jeremy Mathieu a doubt for this summer's Euros, the results could have huge implications for Didier Deschamps and his team. And that's this week's news. But remember, to keep up to date with all the latest in the world of French football, head on over to our website at www.getfootballnewsfrance.com and follow us on Twitter at GFFN. You can also now listen to the show on SoundCloud as well as YouTube on iTunes. So feel free to subscribe to your preferred platform, or even all three if you so desire. Start this week with the Coupe de la Ligue final that happened on Saturday evening, which moved the Ligue 1 schedule around, and for good reason, as the Cup final was a good spectacle. Paris Saint-Germain eventually overcame a brave Lille team 2-1. But did the league champions get a little lucky at the Stade de France, Philippe?
Yeah, the game, it has to be said, it wasn't looking very good on paper between a strong PSG side and Lille, who were not doing so well a couple of months back. But just before that game, PSG were, shall we say, weakened by and pretty much depressed, I think is the right word, from their Champions League exit, and Lille are high flying in the league. So it was one to look forward to. We knew how Antonetti would how Antonetti is knows how to play those types of games. He's been in finals before. I don't think he's ever won a cup before, but Lille did their job all right. I mean, you can't say they didn't play well. Most of the time, it's Paris's task to provide a spectacle. Spectacle was not all that great, I thought. The goals that were a bit lucky. PSG were dodgy in midfield. Rabiot got sent off, and actually PSG did score from a rather risky way out from Enyama, which looked not really necessary. But it's another trophy for PSG, one that they are expected to win every August, which they have done, as they will be expected to win the Coupe de France. You can feel disappointment in the players' face, except for Sirigu. When the final whistle came, Sirigu was absolutely over the moon. You sense that the players were just happy to grab another trophy, but it's starting to feel like, yeah, it's another one. Well, it's always nice, but if we don't win, it's not the end of the world. Sirigu was really happy about the whole thing, given he doesn't get to play all that much. And I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult for PSG that now until next March or April, they'll be given the task of being the best and beating everyone convincingly, because it has been a convincing season, and it's bound not to be a convincing end of season due to the disappointment and depression of going out to Manchester City. So overall, I mean, I think PSG got the right result. It was never really in doubt. I would have been very surprised to see Lille win, yeah, logic prevailed. But I guess Lille could have stood out for maybe extra time or been more solid at the back. But you can't really blame them.
Eric, it was an intriguing game, but again, it felt like Paris Saint-Germain, after they grabbed that goal, they slacked off again in another important game. Is that a worry going forward? It seems to be an ongoing trend with this team.
I mean, I think you have to look at it as a worry, but as Philip rightly said, when is their next meaningful match? I mean, at the risk of sounding too cavalier, this team frankly has nothing to do but play out the string. I mean, besides the Coupe de France final, I'm sure that they want to win that, especially with it being against Marseille. But yeah, this team just played indifferently. I think that Lille should be perhaps taken to task a little bit more. I think that they really missed Renato Savelli, and they were, as Philip rightly said, uncharacteristically loose at the back. It was disappointing and surprising to see that. Also, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a positive approach going forward from Lille as well, and maybe giving Ronnie Lopez an introduction a little bit earlier to see Lille go for it and press for the win, and rather than him having come on after PSG had already taken the lead. I mean, say what you will about PSG, but they're always, sorry, Aurier aside, relatively solid defensively, and to try and think that Lille could get a goal or two in the 10-15 minutes left after Lopez came on, I have my doubts about that. I think that Lille should have got at PSG a little bit more, especially after the dismissal. I think that the introduction of Lopez took too long. That as soon as Rabiot had been dismissed, that Lille should have been pressing the issue a little bit more, especially considering again the lucky nature of PSG's goals. But yeah, on the whole, not the best spectacle, but it wasn't the blowout that it could have been, given the way the PSG have performed on some occasions this season. So I think that'll perhaps do a little bit to silence some of the doubters and those who like to say that Ligue 1 is just trash. I mean, this was a Lille team in form, to be fair. I think that they were just really missed Savelli at the back.
Yeah, and I
Most
think
informed team in the league, I think, behind Lyon. I think that was before at the time of probably not at the time of kickoff because Lyon had already beaten Toulouse, but I think it was the most informed team in the league, and they were playing fantastic stuff.
Yeah, either them
So,
or Saint-Etienne, yeah. But yes, point taken.
yeah, I can. You make an excellent point about them not really going for it, Eric. It felt like a lot of that game when they had the chances to be on the front foot, when especially when Paris Saint-Germain were taken down to 10 men, they just seemed to pass the ball around the box rather than try and make those penetrating runs in it, or the passes that will make the difference, or try and take a player on. It was almost like it was too conservative, and eventually it cost them. But let's talk about the red card for Rabiot for a moment, Philip. It was not the first time he's been sent off this season, and it's not the first time he's been sent off against Lille either. It was a little bit of a petulant second yellow, wasn't it? Especially when you're already sitting on a yellow card.
yeah, he does that. He does that quite often, and I think the main problem when you're in those kinds of situations is that you are playing for a very good side, and most of the time, if you do get sent off, it doesn't it doesn't really matter, which is which is bad news really because when you are playing the important games against the next season's equivalent of Manchester City, maybe Manchester City actually, you need to be quite careful about that. And I think that when PSG players do those type of things, they just don't really necessarily weigh in the consequences. But let's not be over dramatic. PSG only had one sending off this season in the league, and guess what? It was Rabiot. But it's still something that needs it's some kind of self-discipline that I think has been acquired by the Real Madrid, the Barcelona, and that you really need to stay serious all along. And I think it's also a question of French culture of having just this kind of I don't really care, but because we still won the cup. I think in other cultures it may be don't do that every weekend, otherwise you'll do it in a very important game and it'll cost you basically your whole season. Now that didn't happen against in the Champions League, but it could, and it's been Rabiot's shall we say Achilles heel, if you can say that. So yeah, just need to be careful, but still young and all that, so doesn't should learn from it hopefully.
Yeah, and it's those kind of mistakes that tend to infuriate you a little bit, especially when a player's so talented. But after that sending off, and it's 1-1, and Lille have the chance, and then a moment of madness, Eric, for the final goal. It's hard to explain what happens in that one moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I was unfortunately unable to watch the match in full. I was only able to see highlights. But yeah, it's disappointing to see that from a veteran team, to see Lille, in form and really having come together under Antonetti to let that slip, especially being down. It's just that's some level of redemption for Di Maria after his showing in the Champions League quarterfinals over the last two legs. So well done to him in that regard. But yeah, just you really hate to see that sort of mistake in a game, and to see Lille, who again who have done well in recent past in terms of winning titles and the like, but this is a quite different team from, say, the team that won the title a few years back. Besides, I think it's besides Florent Ballman, an entirely new team where to think through the respective rosters. So yeah, just a disappointing end to a match that seemed suddenly as if it could swing in Lille's way. Shades of the first match of the season where Rabiot had been dismissed much earlier in the match, but Lille again failed to take the initiative as PSG really sought to close things down with the introduction of Verratti. So the ball is round, and that's how it is.
Yeah, and it certainly felt like an opportunity missed for Lille in this one. And watching the game, I was impressed by one player for the Les Dogs, especially in Sebastian Corchier. Now, he's not really been mentioned that often this season, or for the past few seasons, really, but I thought he did a really admirable job at right back for a team that have, lent on their defence for many parts of the season. I thought he did an excellent header around the 20-minute mark where he essentially denies a free header at the back post and puts it behind. He did it was excellent in the endeavour of getting back and getting forward and trying to add to Lille's team. And I think that it's the kind of performance that might, strangely enough, put him in the shop window in such a big game. But let's head back to sort of thinking about Paris Saint-Germain and Philip. It's another one in the bag, isn't it? And it's essentially now wait until the Coupe de France final, surely, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd like them to reach the 90-point mark. I know they're only 4 points off that, but basically now PSG cannot reach 100 points, which is a shame because their season in Ligue 1, their domestic season, has been terrific, historical even, and it would have been good to cap that off with 100, say 100 points. So it'll probably be easier in time when they have a valid contender to dispute the title, be that Lyon or Marseille or Monaco. One can only dream. But I think, there's not really much else to wait for than for Marseille. Now, I don't want to make any kind of predictions about that game, because I said PSG would beat Manchester City 6-0 on aggregate, and they didn't. So I'm just not going to talk about the PSG Marseille final. Just to say that it's probably the only remaining game of interest to PSG players. And myself, on a personal note, I would like this side to be regarded as the best ever Ligue 1 side, which I think they are. That such was the quality of their football. Even though you could say that defenses were not, could have been better. Of course, you can always do better. But I really
Best ever Ligue 1 side, better than the Marseille team that won the Champions League and reached the final the next year.
Yeah, domestically, I mean Europe, I don't really know, but I do believe on the long term, by the discipline in all these wins. I think mentally, it's really mentally where this 93 Marseille side trumps PSG. But I think in terms of self discipline, I saw the defending has been quite good. Actually, very, very good. But again, I do get, if people are going to say, Ligue 1 was more competitive back in '93. Yeah. I don't have an answer for that. But I still stand by that quote.
Interesting. I always think it's very difficult to compare teams from different eras and different qualities, different styles of football. So we'll leave that.
This is why I want them to finish on maximum points, so we can get some sort of comparison. Even though if they do finish with the highest number, it doesn't mean that they are automatically better than any of the Lyon sides who won the 7 titles in a row. I think it was. Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I agree with you, Phil. Just quickly, that they are this edition of PSG does seem to be the most focused and most direct in the league. And again, the Manchester City tie, had they had Louise, Matuidi, and Verratti all fit, I mean, we can wonder about that, for until the cows come home, as the saying goes. But the fact of the matter is, this team is much more focused. The professionalism of Di Maria, the directness of Aurier. This team has again managed to kick it up another level. Even after having won 3 consecutive titles, they've shown that there is yet another gear.
And we'll finish off by just saying congrats to Paris Saint-Germain on another title, and the treble's still on. We'll wait to see in a few weeks for the Coupe de France final, see if they do complete it. But
so just to be clear, if PSG win the Coupe de France, 6 goes to the Europa League, right?
Yes, correct. So six. Whoever finishes
So the
sixth
top 3
will
go to the Champions League. The third gets a playoff. 4th, 5th, and 6th get EL, so Europa League.
Yes.
And I believe it's the Coupe de France finalist who gets direct access to Europa League without the playoffs. Is that it?
No, that's no longer the case. It's just
No.
it's let's see. So last year it was Saint-Etienne and Bordeaux. I think one entered in the third qualifying round. Another one of them entered in the playoff round, or maybe the
Yeah.
second qualifying round. But they started their seasons in late July, both Saint-Etienne and Bordeaux. So yeah, there's no entry for cup losers. I don't think anymore in England that in any European league that I'm aware of. England did away with it as well. The loser of the FA Cup is no longer a European entry as well.
No. So that it'll be going to sixth if PSG end up winning that. But congrats to them, and we'll move on to the managerial merry-go-round that's slowly starting up again. We'll just go through two that we won't really touch upon because they are practically okay. It seems that Laurent Blanc will get another chance at PSG next season.
Which I'm very happy about.
Yes, unless they lose the Coupe de France final, which might throw a spanner in the works.
That might be. Yeah.
And also, Lyon are probably almost definitely going to stay with Bruno Genesio unless a big name comes up.
This is going to be fascinating, though.
It certainly will be if there's someone interested. But let's start.
No. I mean, Genesio at Lyon for with European football. This is going to be really, really interesting. One to look over, which we will, I'm sure.
But we'll have a quick look at some of the moves that have already started to happen this week. As Michel was put on gardening leave by Marseille. Olivier Guégan, as we mentioned in the news, has lost his job at Reims, and after Friday's result, and Nantes manager Michel Desicarian announced he will leave the club in the summer as well. We'll start with Michel, who was placed on gardening leave earlier this week. It's been coming, hasn't it, Philip?
Yeah. Well, we've had a Marseille fan, Mo, talk about his managerial skills, sarcastic quotation marks, for Michel. The thing is, it's always going to be the same problem, and this is why it's really, really good news that Margarita Louis-Dreyfus decided to sell the club. It's that the strategy, well, there isn't really one. It's sell your good players. Which they did last season, and when you sell all your good players, you don't have any money, you don't get much in players coming in, so you don't. To me, it's only logical that you don't get a quality manager. So Luis Dreyfus did not sack Michel, and actually Marseille have asked their lawyer if they could actually do some kind of deal so that Michel, so that they wouldn't have to pay his fee for firing him. I don't know what's the legal term in English.
Yeah, it's gardening leave.
Oh, it is gardening. Oh, right.
They placed him on gardening leave. It's essentially saying that they want him gone, but they can't afford to sack him, so they put him on a extended gardening leave that's almost like a suspension in order to try and find a way to either not pay him at all or agree a settlement with him. So that's why he's not managing the club, but he's still technically with the club.
Okay, I did not know that. Thank you. It's so yeah, and this is pretty much why he is on gardening leave, which I was trying to explain. I didn't actually know what that meant. And plus he has been the what's he called between two
Interim manager.
Interim manager, thank you. It's logical to me. I mean, it makes perfect sense here. They do want him gone, but I think the fans do appreciate the fact that the players, the squad, is not very good, and that it probably shouldn't be playing so low in the table. Marseille are 16th and only 5 points clear of Reims, who also lost their manager today, and have not won in 11 games. So nothing really happened at Hampton North this yesterday. It was a 1-1 draw against the Nantes side, who are absolutely pretty good as well. They lost 4 on the trot, scoring just 1 in those 4 games. And it's still not a draw. I don't really. I really think this is a good decision waiting for the summer to rebuild, get a new manager, but first and foremost, they need to get a new owner. That's the most important. I do believe Passy will stay until a new owner comes in. I don't see Marseille being having attractive enough for a manager.
It is an interesting situation, isn't it? And I agree with gardening leave. I can remember when I heard it. I think it was when I was a bit younger when Hull City put Phil Brown on gardening leave, and I thought it sounded quite nice, but it's not as nice as it sounds. But Eric, we've just mentioned there that it might be difficult for a manager to attract a manager, but the club have been attempting to court former Chile manager Jorge Sampaoli in the last couple of weeks, and to try and see if they can convince him to come, although he has other offers in Europe. There's a couple of other names being thrown around, such as former Roma coach Rudy Garcia, Gangomp's Jocelyn Gourvenec, and Saint-Etienne's Christophe Galtier. I mean, it all depends on what happens at the board level, really, at OM before anything serious happens. But which of those kind of names will give them the biggest boost, do you think?
I'd like to see a Gourvenec or maybe a Michel de Zakarian, somebody who has an ability to put a team together, or Galtier as well, who knows the league, who has a solid reputation for defense, because that's going to be key. Let's remember, Nicolas Nkulu is out of contract in the summer, and they're not going to be able to rely on him. So, whether it's Rolando and the likes of Sparagna, Rekik, Baptiste Alloway, he's a player who I really like, who's out on loan right now. I think that building this team from the back forward, Steve Mandanda is gone as well. They have a promising young keeper in Bryce Samba waiting in the wings, but the fact of the matter is this team is going to need to be a lot more defensively solid than they have this year. Not that they've been bad this year, but that's going to be absolutely necessary, especially if they do lose Batshuayi in the summer, which, given that he signed this contract extension, I think looks likely. The underlying reason for that extension being the fact that he could be sold for a higher fee. So I think someone that fits that profile, that can get a tune out of a team by playing hard-working football, that might not be the most aesthetically pleasing, given what Marseille had last season with the likes of Ayew, Payet, Gignac. I think that they can get. They need to focus on youth. There are still, even with Batshuayi, Nkulu, and Mandanda leaving, there's still a lot of exciting youngish talent here. Remy Cabet is still fairly young. He's earned some caps for France. He's a fine player. George Kevin Nkudu and Bounassar are two players who I have a lot of time for. Romain Alessandrini as well. Lassana Diarra, should he choose to stay. Abu Diaby, likewise. There's a lot of interesting pieces in this team that I think there's a lot of potential between the veterans they have and some of these young players that are coming up as well for Marseille to be, I wouldn't say a Champions League contender, but at the edges of European football with the right manager this summer. And I think that, again, the likes of a De Zakarian, a Gourvenec, a Galtier, somebody who knows the league well and knows how to adapt a given playing squad for success in the league. And we've seen, all three of those managers do so with much more limited resources than Marseille have in Ligue 1.
Yes, and thinking of those options, if something could be sorted at board level, I think someone like Christophe Galtier will be ideal. I mean, we've seen for season upon season him make Saint-Etienne competitive defensively, and then just like they have in the last 5 games, if you haven't conceded. So that's pushed them right into the Champions League contention simply because he's fixed that back line. That could be an ideal one. Or I'm pretty sure the one that the fans probably want the most is Jorge Sampaoli with his attacking style of football and a disciple of Bielsa. That would be an interesting one. But we'll go to Nantes now, who, like we mentioned earlier, De Zakarian will be leaving at the end of his contract at the end of the season. They've started looking for replacements, and one name in their prime target, reportedly, according to our website, there's a fantastic article called The Big Picture. Go and have a look. Is former Algeria boss, apologies, Christian Gourcuff, but it looks like he might be going to Rennes. So other individuals they've sounded out are the likes of Antoine Kumbare of Lens and former Ligue 1 winner René Girard. Philip, who would be the right man to take Nantes forward?
I'd go with Gourcuff. I think he showed what he can do at Lorient. He put them in most of the time they were up first half of the table, so from first place to 10th place. I do. It's not really a surprise. Going back on De Zakarian, he's done a very good job at Nantes, but you sense that it was coming, some kind of end of an era type of thing, and that the players, not that he lost the dressing room or anything, but maybe he wanted out, or maybe didn't have the necessary motivation to keep the club going. And we know how fast these things can go. I mean, Nantes were very much an established club 10 years ago, and they spent a horrible amount of years in Ligue 2. And the fans know how fast this can come upon you. A club like Nantes, who are not loaded, and who need to do the dirty work themselves. I think Gourcuff, first of all, to keep the club at this solid mid-table position in the league is a good appointment. And moreover, I think after these kind of poor run and forms towards the end of the season, I think it needs to be very careful, because there comes some kind of negative spin with that kind of results, with consecutive defeats. And I think an experienced guy needs to take over the helm. I don't think any club with trouble scoring would be particularly happy to have René Girard on after what he showed. He can have a good days and bad days, but most people will remember the Lille boredom, if you will. And I firmly believe that Gourcuff should be enrolled by the not chairman Valdemir Kita.
Eric, I saw you mention on Twitter that someone needs to take the club forward. Who would be the right man to put them in the right direction?
I agree. I think Gourcuff is a would be a fantastic manager. I mean, look at the sorts of players who have come through Lorient's academy: Gignac, Tevin Gamero, Morgan Amalfitano, Christophe Jallet, Laurent Koscielny, Lamine Kone, Bruno Mangala. There's a ton of players who have been in and around the old saw there, in and around the France squad in recent years, and as well as other countries' squads too. And he's always tried to play a positive attacking style of football, and he's been really adept at showing his ability to bring through youth. And looking over this Nantes squad, the likes of Leo Dubois, Wilfried Mouambe, Adrien Thomason, Valentin Rongier, there's a lot of exciting young talent in that Nantes team, and given the history of their academy as well, I'm sure there's more in the pipeline. And if they can retain that defensive solidity that they've shown under De Zakarian, while giving some of these youngsters a little bit more of a free rein going forward, perhaps sign Youssouf Sabaly permanently, for example, then I think Nantes really have the ability to push for Europe. They've been sort of up and down in this regard. Injuries have undone them. They've always had the defense to be successful, but they've sort of lacked in the attacking mode. But players have been in and out of form. But I think with somebody like Gourcuff, who will be brought in and given a little bit more more power than Der Zakarian. I kind of wonder, with the transfer ban and what Der Zakarian's role is in terms of being a manager versus being a head coach, how exactly that ends up playing out within within the hierarchy of Nantes. That obviously a figure such as Gourcuff is a little bit more respect, and I think will be given a little bit more leeway to develop players and take a chance now that Nantes are a little bit more established as a Ligue 1 club. Because we have to remember that as well as Der Zakarian has done to keep the club up, given dire finances and the transfer ban that they had as well. Now that the team is a little bit more established, they should look to push on. Given what a fantastic atmosphere there always is at the Beaujoire, and in addition to that, just the resources available to the team. Again, let's not forget, Nantes were a club that have won quite a few titles. They were in the Champions League as recently as a dozen years ago. There's huge potential for this club to be, among the European hopefuls year in and year out, given what's available to the team in their region. And to play more positive attacking football and keep developing youngsters, I think that Alexa Gourcuff would be a positive appointment for sure.
Not to mention that Nantes back in 2001 were the last side to win the French league before Lyon's dominance, and most of the side was homegrown talent. I can just see a guy like Gourcuff doing that kind of thing. I'm not saying that Nantes are going to win the title with Gourcuff, obviously, but build the academy and make it even stronger than it is, which is not too bad, much better than it was a couple of years before, obviously. So there's this culture of Nantes. It's a bit like at Auxerre of doing the way in-house, and that not necessarily spending millions on the transfer market. This is basically the club's legacy and one of the biggest in France.
And it's strange to think that even though we mentioned Christian Gourcuff will be ideal for Nantes, it looks like he'll be heading to Rennes, supposedly being offered a 2-year contract under Roland Courbis, knows he'll be, I'm sure, very pleased to be having someone usurp his job after he usurped Philippe Montanier's job. But we've mentioned Zakarian then, and it looks like he might not be out of a job for long, as Guingamp have already made contact with him, as they expect Jocelyn Gourvenec to be moving on this summer. Philip, would that be the right kind of move for Guingamp?
Moving from Gourvenec to Der Zakarian, I think that's a good step. I don't think it's a particularly good step for Der Zakarian. I don't particularly see why he would move to a smaller club, or why not stay at Nantes. But then again, I did a lot of things would say about the motivation and in and around the place. No, I think Der Zakarian should aim a bit higher. We didn't really talk about Claude Puel, Nice manager. Apparently his contract is out, right? At the end of the season in June.
Yep.
I actually see Der Zakarian doing a fine job at Nice, especially if they manage to keep Ben Arfa, especially if the chairman is willing to get some money out to pay the wages for a couple of years, another couple of years. I can see Der Zakarian at Nice. It wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't say, okay, that guy doesn't have the necessary experience or quality to manage a side like Nice, and it's very, very, very good again academy, because Nice weren't really expected to be that good this season, and let's face it, they were that good because of thanks to Ben Arfa and this whole dynamism he brings with him. So yeah, honestly, I wouldn't see Der Zakarian at Guingamp. I would find it a step down. There's also Gourvenec is being shouted about in basically every other club that would need another manager. I honestly think that it needs to be very careful with that type of rumor, because yes, he is managing a small club. He's not, and he is making them a regular fixture in Ligue 1. but I don't see him being an overall success at a bigger club. I think he's fine at Guingamp. I think it's a good match, really, and I don't think he should be aiming for something big just yet. But that's me.
Well, I hope you can stick with me here because I'm just about to get maybe slightly confusing. So here we go. You've mentioned Zakarian possibly being at Nice, and like we've already said, Claude Puel's future is still not assured with the club. He's not signed a new deal. That's possibly because Leonardo Jardim might be leaving Monaco to head back to Russia. He's still frustrated with the situation there after the summer still.
To go back to, sorry?
To potentially Russia or Portugal. He's seen as possibly a successor to Andre Villas-Boas at Zenit St. Petersburg and possibly even Porto. But so there's Puel there, and then so that opens a possibility at Nice. That's a club.
Porto do need a manager though badly.
Yes.
The place they're really doing terribly for the last couple of seasons, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
They're far behind Benfica and Sporting, which is something that never happened. So I think they do need actually. I would believe for St. Petersburg. I don't know, but if you tell me Jardim to Porto, I will probably believe there's that rumor. So you sow that into the mix, and yeah.
And there's more.
Puel has managed Monaco before, so you get to thinking, why not? It's not a long drive,
And so, with that vacancy potentially happening, Nice have been in contact with Jocelyn Gourvenec, who's also been offered to Bordeaux, Marseille, and could even go to Saint-Etienne if Christophe Galtier leaves Les Verts for another club.
See, out of those three that you mentioned, Bordeaux, Marseille, Saint-Etienne, who would you rather? Who should Gourvenec pick?
That was
I'm thinking more Bordeaux.
So go ahead, Eric.
I'm sorry. The question one more time?
It will be Gourvenec has been contacted by Nice. He's been offered to Bordeaux, Marseille, and could even be possibly going to Saint-Etienne. Out of those four clubs, who do you think would be the best fit for Jocelyn Gourvenec?
I think Saint-Etienne. I think that given their fan base and given their resources and the issues they've had with injury this year, to be frank, I mean, they've had a lot of key players miss time out, like Zabaric, Loic Perrin, Kevin Teofil-Catherine, Frank Taubanu. A lot of really important players have missed out due to injury, and now that they're back fit and fighting, with the exception of Beric, we're seeing the potential for this team. I think given how good their defense is, and given I think the very shrewd transfer moves that they made in the recent past, likes of Tanan, Selnes, Soderlund, this team really has the resources and the talent to be not just a European contender, but make a real push for the Champions League. I know they're only 2 points off second right now, but think where they could be, where Perrin had not to have missed a month, where Taubanu and Teofil-Catherine not to have missed multiple months out. Having a fit and healthy team. I mean, this team, I think, could be a legitimate contender for second place next season, given the rumors that are swirling around the likes of the playing squads at Monaco and Lyon. There's not those kind of rumors surrounding Saint-Etienne's playing staff. And were they to retain the same or a very similar squad, there's a massive potential there. And I think that Gourvenec would be right to pick Saint-Etienne in terms of their potential, and he could, really make himself be seen as one of the elite managers in Europe, were he to put that team firmly into the Champions League.
Right, I'm going to do some very quick fire ones.
Why would Galtier leave?
That's going to be the question in a moment. I'll do some very quick fire ones because we're running slowly out of time. So I'll go. The Bordeaux have contacted another club that's contacted René Girard, as well as possibly sticking with Ulrich Rame, who has impressed the club with his time in so far this season. Out of those two, Philip, single name, who would you have, Rame or Girard at Bordeaux?
Rame.
Eric?
Girard. I think his defensive abilities will get that team back on the right track and let those young attacking players shine a little bit more.
Yeah, I think Girard will be a step up in management for
I
that
think the
club.
fans would turn on Girard if things don't go right from the beginning of next season, and probably a bit less so with Rami due to his inexperience and his past for the club.
And it'll be interesting to see him. And two more. So Saint-Etienne, like we've mentioned earlier, Christophe Galtier might be leaving in the summer. He's worked excellently for the last couple of seasons for the club, and that's put him in very good faith with the board, and they will allow him to leave should an opportunity he wants come up. Is it time for him to make that step up, Philip?
Where?
That's exactly the question, isn't it? So if say, what would be a step up for him might be a better question then.
Um, Well, there's Lyon, but I can't see it happening somehow. Saint-Etienne manager moving to Lyon and Bruno Genesio turning Lyon around in mid-season. And to be honest, it really is a coin toss if Saint-Etienne are going to finish ahead of Monaco, because look. If you look at the table, Saint-Etienne are only 2 points behind Monaco, with near equal goal difference, and with 3 games to go. So I don't really see a real step up. Of course, it's easy to say at the end of the season if Monaco finish above Saint-Etienne, Monaco would be a step up. You could say the same with Nice, but I honestly think that Nice won't be doing that type of season very often. No, I think Galtier would be wise to stay put.
Eric, do you think it's time for a step up? I'm thinking of it could be even a foreign club like maybe slightly out of left field, like a Valencia or something like that.
Yeah, I suppose so. It's hard to say because I feel like Galtier has done really well to keep building Saint-Etienne, but every year it's fifth, sixth, fifth, and it's fourth. I mean, it's just under the Champions League glass ceiling, and I feel like this season, given the unevenness of Monaco and Lyon, that I feel like he should have one more season at Saint-Etienne, just to see what he can do with what I think is a fantastically well developed squad, and to see if he can qualify for the Champions League next season, because he has had terrible luck with injuries with that squad this season. I mean, it's not too late this season. They've got Toulouse, Nice, and Lille in their next 3 matches. Win all 3 of those, and who knows?
It is an interesting one. I mean, there's a lot of different permutations. I do implore you to read the article we have on our website. It goes through it much more succinctly than we may have this evening. But go through that, have a look at all the rumours, and maybe you might be able to just follow along with what might be a crazy, crazy summer in Liga. One more managerial change that we do want to mention, but we'll flow into our relegation talk, and Reims lost on Friday evening to Nice, which saw the end of Olivier Guégan's reign at the club. Philip, was it a little bit too late to get rid of Guégan? Had they got enough time to recover?
I think what did it was not the defeat on Friday. It was once again the defeat against Troyes last Saturday, I think it was. And I honestly think it was a bit harsh. I honestly think that Reims were having a bad run. Not anybody can see that 3 wins in 8 games, but I think not a lot of sides would have avoided a 2-0 win at Nice. Looking at the fixtures, I don't think it was the right time to sack the manager. He was doing a fine job bit before in the season, beating Bordeaux 4-1, drawing at Monaco 2-2, games they probably should have won. But there are those games that some side who want to get out of relegation simply have to win. That home loss against Guingamp was a must-win, and if they won that, Guingamp would have been fine, and Gourvenec would have been not fine. Then you've got Rennes away. Rennes were doing very well. They beat Nantes, and then this comes in I just don't really see the point. I think it's a matter of the fixture pile-up, and that he really shouldn't have lost at Troyes, because when you look at the fixture list, everybody was saying, okay, we're struggling. We're going at Nice. They're half flanks. They've got Ben Alpha. We're going to get demolished anyway. Whoever's on the bench. It's that kind of thing, I reckon. And when the defeat came in at Troyes, I believe, I did read reports that the team were mentally very, very not really believing anymore, and that they had Toulouse coming back up, and people were starting to get restless. But still, I don't see this sacking changing Reims' face, unfortunately.
Eric, it was a tough loss to take again, as they looked a little bit abject against a very impressive Nice. Doesn't it feel a little bit too much too late on Guégan? Maybe they needed to make this decision maybe a week earlier.
Yeah, and especially in the wake of the Nice loss, again, Nice are in form, and Reims, again, we're missing Yaba Kankava and El Kautari. I mean, they were missing two very important defensive players, let's not forget. And it's not to say they didn't have their chances in that match. Charbonnier forced a sharp save from Cardinal early in the match. They played decently enough. Germain's first goal was delightful. I mean, and that was a nice moment of individual skill from him. It's not as if Reims played poorly. They just ran up against an informed team. I honestly think that Guégan did well in terms of adapting this team with the arrivals of the likes of Thivi, Al-Kotari in the winter window, and really getting the best out of them, and Las Bangora as well. But it's a shame to see them sort of fall apart like that. If they really believe that he was the problem, then I can see where they're coming from. But I think that this particular loss was just a little bit circumstantial, and that he's a little bit harshly done by. He had got a pretty nice run of results for them, particularly just after the window closed, and he had that nice 3-5-2 really working well. And again, it's a different system now, and it was a change in system that I think was really giving them an advantage, and I don't think that it's been. I don't think that he was given a proper chance. I mean, they're home against Montpellier this weekend, and then they're away to Marseille. Okay, well that could be 4 or 6 points, and then they're safe. You know, they still have a decent chance, despite having Lyon on the last day of the season, to get safety. Should Gazellec slip up in the next couple matches. It's not like this is done. I think he should have been allowed a chance to pull himself out of this.
Yeah, and that was the big result of the weekend, as Gazellec gained that 3-2 win over Bastia.
That was amazing, though. That was a big surprise to me. I don't know about you guys, but I was absolutely shocked to see Gazellec beat Bastia.
It did seem to come out of left foot, especially on the form they're in. But Philip, with games against the likes of Lyon and PSG coming up for them, this was an absolutely vital win, wasn't it?
Yeah, and local beating Bastia doesn't happen very often for this very very small club. It's a tiny little club, much smaller than the AC Ajaccio, who are usually better placed in the divisions. It's very rare when you have Gazellec being in front of AC Ajaccio, and local pride was restored, and also it was their first win in 5, which really puts them out of the relegation zone for a very long time. The last time they were out of the relegation zone was the beginning of February. So it's a great win. It's a great win for the drama of this league, because again, you got the feeling with Reims and Toulouse that they were going to swap, because the dynamics were really favouring Toulouse and not Reims, and now you've got Gazellec who are finally woken up. Now, I can only see a Lyon win against them on Sunday, and why not a draw against PSG? PSG are like we said before, they've only got this Coupe de France final to look forward to against Marseille. Why not? And then they've got on the final day they're traveling to Lorient. I don't. I can see Gazelic win. So why not? Why not?
It is.
But it's certainly changed. I mean, it's certainly this result certainly changes things.
Yeah, and another result that changed things at the bottom of the table, Eric, was that the game for Toulouse against Lyon. They put on a real brave performance, but it just got it stolen away from them at the last minute. How is that the hammer blow to their survival hopes?
I think it has the potential to be, just in terms of what a great fight they put up, and how it could be emotionally damaging for them. I still think relegation is might come down is probably going to come down to the last match day. Both these teams or all three of these teams, that is Toulouse, Reims, and Gazlec, have serious defensive issues. I mean, we saw that. I mean, let's be honest, Gazlec won, but looked very, very shaky at the back. Bastia, with some more clinical finishing, easily could have won that match, even with Gazlec scoring 3. They've got, and all three of them have tough run-ins, serious defensive issues, and I think it'll really come down to what their opponents' motivations are. I would probably favor Reims to stay up at this point, given Marseille is in different form, and the fact that Montpellier are now on 43 points, 11th place. They're not mathematically safe, but let's face it, you're 7 points clear with 3 matches remaining. You're essentially on the beach. So I would tip Reims at this point to stay safe, with Gazlec and Toulouse going down.
Very quickly, Philip, who would you say stays up?
Toulouse, still.
And there's me thinking that the result on the weekend might have seen them off in the end. But it will be one of the ones that will go down onto the final day of the season, really.
It could be Marseille, but I don't. I just. Yeah.
And would that be the dream ideal scenario for you? Would it be, Philip?
No. I honestly do not wish it for French football. I honestly don't.
No, but it could still happen. But with 3 games to go, it's going to be very, very interesting in that bottom 3 and 4, where essentially 2 out of those 3 will definitely be relegated. We'll move on to our final topic this week, and in a blow to Les Bleus, Liverpool defender Mamadou Sakho is facing a potential minimum 6-month ban after failing a drugs test. His second test is today, and we should find the results out soon. But according to the English press, it was believed that a fat-burning substance is to blame after the former PSG man tried to cut weight after being let out at the start of the season by former manager Brendan Rodgers for being overweight. Philip, how much does this affect Didier Deschamps' plans ahead of Euro 2016, and who could come in to replace him?
Well, if you look at Sakho's season, Liverpool fans can testify he's not that good on the ball, and getting the ball out of defence is not his strong suit either. He's still a bloody good warrior, as he showed against Dortmund. So I believe this is a bit like Benzema, a blessing in disguise. He's a Deschamps player. Deschamps would play him, I believe, but he's still extremely risky to have at the back. Now the ongoing opinion would be between to replace him, Perrin and Umtiti. I really do hope that it's a Ligue 1 player that replaces him, and I would go with Umtiti. He's a very good centre back. I believe he's left-footed like Sakho. Plays on the left side of a back 4, on the left side of both centre backs, if you will. And Umtiti gets my vote.
Philip, Eric, sorry, who do you vote for replacing Mamadou Sakho in the Les Bleus squad?
Well, assuming if Jeremy Matthew doesn't make it, Perrin and Umtiti can both go. But I think at this point, as much as I love Umtiti as a player, I think that Perrin's experience and just the fact that he is a little bit more contrasting in style to the likes of Varane or Koscielny, that he's a bit less of a player who's willing to hair out of defense and try and make tackles. He's a more stationary player. I would favor Perrin in this instance. I think his man marking and positional awareness is much, much better than Sakho's, even were Sakho not injured. I would prefer Perrin over Sakho, even in the absence of any issues personally. I think Perrin has been absolutely imperious for Saint-Etienne this season. Look at the upturn in form for the team. It's now 5 matches without conceding a goal in the league. and that's almost certainly down to the return of their captain.
It's a travesty, really, that this Chelsea defender got injured and misses the tournament as well. I mean, it's starting to feel like there's some kind of a bad spell against French players going into a tournament on home soil. But you've got what was his name again?
Kurt Zuma, is it what you're thinking of?
Sorry?
Were you thinking of Kurt Zuma again, or?
Zuma, yeah. It was Zuma, Benzema, now Sacco. It's I mean, it would have been great to have Zuma in the 23. Not to be, unfortunately.
But when you can replace him with the likes of like Peran, you can't moan too much, at least. Although he hasn't seen that much international play, but there's a capable defender nonetheless. That's all we have for this week's show. My thanks to Eric and Philip, and to everyone listening at home. We shall see you at the same time next week. And remember, in the game of football, you either win or you get placed on gardening leave. Abianto and goodbye.